Good morning, students. So, children, today we'll start a new topic from your chapter number 6. And before that, let's have some health advisory regarding COVID 19. Students, as it was informed to you earlier also, that we should be taking and we should take the necessary precaution to protect ourselves from COVID 19, and these are to wear the mask properly, which should cover your mouth and your nose also, to have at least 6 feet of distance from each other, and to wash and sanitize your hand frequently, to wash your hand, and when you don't have water, to sanitize your hand. So these are basically the different appropriate behavior by which we will be able to protect ourselves and other also from this COVID 19, and we can also help our government to stop the spread of COVID 19. Student, with this message, now we would continue our another topic of your chapter number 6, and that was kind of social responsibility. I'll just give you a quick revision or quick review that what we have done in the previous video. Student, because this was the third video of your chapter 6, in the previous video we have started this chapter social responsibility of business. It means that when a business is there, a business which is working into a society, which is using the resources of a society, has certain obligation toward the society also, and these obligations of business are called as social responsibility. Now, this is not mandatory for every business organization to follow all these obligations. It's basically a voluntary action which depend from business to another business enterprises. Now, we have talked about what is social responsibility. Then we have already discussed that what are the different practice, fair practice and unfair practice of a business toward the society, and what are the different arguments about social responsibility from different business enterprises, right? And what is actually the reality about social responsibility in land. Today we will be talking about the kinds of social responsibility. It means as we are talking social responsibility of a business should do this, business should be obligated towards the society. But what kind of social responsibility a business has? So that we will be discussing in today's video. So as you can see here, 6.4, the kinds of social responsibility. So a business has different kind of social responsibility towards the society. It means a business has different kind of obligations, a business have different duties towards the society, and all these are divided into 4 categories. The first is economic responsibility. Now, as the word economic is saying, it will be related with money, monetary. This we have discussed before also, right? Now, economic responsibility of a business is what? A economic responsibility of business basically means a business enterprise is basically an entity, economic entity. Economic entity means its main purpose is to earn money, to gain monetary profit. Therefore, its primary social responsibility is economic. Economics means producing goods and services that society want and sell them at a rate of profit. That we called as economy. So it basically means the first obligations of a business as a social responsibility toward the society is to produce the goods and services. But these goods and services, once produced, it should be sold in an amount of profit within an economic rate, means within a reasonable rate. So this is the first kind of social responsibility from a business side. The next is legal responsibility of a business. What can be the legal responsibility of a business? There are lots of law which are made by government that how the business has to work. So these all laws bounded the business. Now it become a duty of a business enterprise to follow all the legal law way or in which land that business is working. So that is called as a legal responsibility of a business enterprise. Let's see, every business has a responsibility to operate within the law of land, since these laws are meant for good of the society. A law abiding enterprise is socially responsible enterprise as well. Now, it's basically saying that whenever we are starting any business, there are certain legal formalities, there are certain law which we are supposed to follow. These laws are made by the government, and a business need to follow all those laws to make a good image in front of the society. A business enterprise who is following all the law, or who is following all the legal formalities which is made by the government, is called as a socially responsible enterprise. So this is the second kind of social responsibility of a business, that is to follow all the legal responsibility of a business. Next is ethical responsibility. Now ethical responsibility basically means which will be in the behavior, which we cannot make mandatory, right? Now this include the behavior of the firm that is expected by society but not codified in law. For example, respecting the religious sentiments and dignity of people while advertising for a product. There is an element of voluntary action in performing these responsibility. So, ethical responsibility, first you have to understand that these are related with the behavior of a business enterprises, and every enterprise has their own behavior. So, ethical responsibility is a basically a voluntary action or voluntary performance of a business enterprise. Some of the business enterprise follow the ethical responsibility towards the society, and some may not be, right? Because this is voluntary actions and depend on the behavior of our enterprises. Now what can be an example of ethical responsibility? Ethical responsibility basically means when a business is working into the society, they should respect the sentiments of the society, they should respect the religious sentiment of the society, they should respect the dignity of the people, they should not give those type of advertisement of a product which is not going to respect the sentiment and the dignity of that society people. So this is all, this is not codified by law, it means law has not made all those things, right? This is basically a voluntary action which is supposed to be taken from a business enterprise side. Now the next social responsibility of a business is discretionary responsibility. Now this is again called as a purely voluntary responsibility or purely voluntary obligation. Student, you have to understand here that when we talk about ethical responsibility, there are certain ethical responsibility which can be codified somewhere, very less, right? Otherwise these are basically called as not codified in law. But when we talk about discretionary responsibility, they are purely voluntary. Purely voluntary means it completely depends upon the choice of the enterprise whether they want to follow these discretionary responsibility or they don't want, right? That is the reason we call that these are basically purely voluntary action. Obligation means it completely depends on the will of the owner whether they want to do it or whether they don't want to do it. Now what can be these responsibility of a business enterprise? Like charitable contributions, educational institutions, or helping the affected people during the floods or earthquake, right? So it means it's completely a will of an enterprise that whether he want to provide any charity to the educational institutions for the development of the society, he want to give any charity to any NGOs, or in case there is any natural calamities which occurred like floods, earthquake, he want to give certain help as a financial manner to the people of that area. So this is completely or purely a voluntary obligation from a enterprise side. That is the reason we call this discretionary responsibility. So student, I think it should be clear to you that kinds of social responsibility basically means that what different type of social responsibility and social obligation a business have, and towards whom, what kind it is. So it basically the social obligation of business is divided into four parts: economic responsibility, legal responsibility, ethical responsibility, and discretionary responsibility. Right? So now this was all about the kind of social responsibility. And students, now we will be talking about the social responsibility toward different interest group. So social responsibility towards different interest group means, like we have said, that business has certain social responsibility, but we should be also aware that yes, business has certain social responsibility towards society, but into society also there are lots of people live, right? So whom we are talking about? It means with whom the business has social responsibility. So once the social objective of business is recognized, it is important to know to whom and for what the business and its management are responsible. A business unit has to decide in which area it should carry out social goal. Some of the specific responsibility and enterprise may be outlined as under. It means once we have decided the social objective, that this is our motto of our business, right? Now we should be also aware that the business is responsible, but business is responsible for whom? So that is called as the different interest group, right? Whom a business is responsible. So that is what we will be reading, discussing today, that the social responsibility of a business towards the different interest group. And now these all interest group will be directly or indirectly linked with the business. Now you will see how. So the first interest group here is towards whom the business has the social responsibility is social responsibility toward the shareholder or owner. Now you can understand it very easily from here also, that a business has the first social responsibility towards whom? Towards its owner who has started the business, towards its shareholders who has invested the capital and money into the business to start it. और उनके लिए क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी उनकी बिजनेस की? दे बिजनेस विल हैव द सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टुवर्ड्स इट्स शेयर होल्डर एंड ओनर इज to provide them fair rate of return to the shareholders and even the owner also on the capital which they have invested, so that their capital can be saved. It means whenever any business is started, there are certain people who invest money, right, for the purpose of starting and growing that business. These people are called as the shareholders. Now it becomes the responsibility of a business or a firm to provide fair return to these shareholders into the amount of capital which they have invested into the business. So what they are doing in that way, the business is providing safety to the shareholder and the owner on the capital which they have invested. So that is the first responsibility towards the shareholder or the owner of a business. Next is responsibility towards the workers. Now, as the shareholder is important, the owner is important, who has invested money, who has started the business because of their money also, because of their capital investment only, the business was started. But once the business was started, there are lots of people who are working into the business. Because of that only, the shareholders and owner capital will not be wasted and they will get money in return of that. And these are the worker, these are the employee of the business, right? So the business also have responsibility toward the second section, that was worker of the business enterprises. Now management of an enterprise is also responsible for providing opportunity to the workers for meaningful work. It should try to create the right kind of working condition so that it can win the cooperation of workers. The enterprise must respect the democratic right of the workers to form unions. The worker must also be ensured of a fair wages and a fair deal from the management. Responsibility towards the worker basically means that because these are the people who are working into the ground level, right? So a management of a business or a business firm or enterprise is also responsible for providing proper growing opportunity to these people who are working there, and they should try to create that kind of working condition or environment into the business so that they can be cooperated from the worker also, or the worker cooperation they can get, and the worker will be happily able to do work there. They should give respect to the workers, and they should give a democratic right to the workers if they want to form union also, right? They should provide a good wages rate, it means good wages, good money, good salary, and they should be a fairly deal with the management. So this is the social responsibility of a business towards the worker. Next is responsibility toward the consumer. Now, as a business is responsible toward the owner, business is responsible toward the shareholders, towards employee. The same manner, a business is also responsible towards the consumer. And simply, if we understood it, it's very easy. What type of responsibility as a consumer, what we are expecting from our seller? We are expecting that the seller is selling the goods, a qualified good to us within a reasonable prices. This is what a consumer demand from a seller. So this is the responsibility of a business enterprise towards the consumer. Supply of right quality and quantity of goods and services to the consumer at reasonable prices constitute the responsibility of enterprise towards customer. The enterprise must take proper precautions against adulteration, poor quality, lack of desired services, and courtesy to the customer, misleading and dishonest advertising, and so on. They must also have the right of information about the product, the company, and other matter having a bearing on their purchasing decision. Now, a responsibility towards the consumer. A business has certain responsibility, certain obligation towards its consumer also, and that is providing a right quality of goods with a right quantity also, and within a reasonable rates also. These are the certain responsibility which every ethical business enterprise should obligate or should do towards its customer, right? Now, a business enterprise should be very careful that he or she should not cheat its customer. Or she should be responsible towards the customer by not providing the customer adulterated good. Adulterated good means expiry date of product. By not giving him poor quality of product, by not providing him a proper services, by misleading him, by having a dishonest behavior or wrong advertisement. So certain things are there which a business enterprise should not do, so that the right information can be provided about the product to the customer, and the customer can be benefited from here. So these are certain responsibility of a business enterprise toward the consumer. Next is responsibility towards the government and community. Now, as I told you earlier also, that when we talk about business, we basically remember the policy of give and take. Now, a business is set up into the society. It's using the resources of the society, land, labor, capital, everything is available from the society, right? So it's having certain obligation towards the government and the community also. So this point basically say a business responsibility towards the government and community. Now, what can be the responsibility of a business toward the government and the community? It basically that government has a tax system, right? Government used to do work for the people of country only, by constructing the road, by constructing dam, by providing job opportunities. So these all what it required money. And how government is going to get that money? Government is going to get that money by the help of people only. If the people will be honestly paying the taxes, government will generate revenue from these taxes, and again going to expend these revenue, again going to invest this revenue for the welfare of people of the country only, right? So here, as a business enterprise, it become our obligation and our responsibility to pay out the taxes regularly and honestly, right? And for the society, It's our responsibility. Our means it's the responsibility of a business enterprises to accept the values of the society, to protect the environment, because if the environment will not be protected, it's going to affect the whole country people. So let's see what is written here. The responsibility of a business enterprise toward the government and community. An enterprise must respect the law of the country and pay taxes regularly and honestly. It must behave as a good citizen and act according to the well accepted value of the society. It must protect the natural environment and should avoid bad, effluent, smoky chimneys, ugly building, dirty working conditions. It must also develop a proper image in society through continuous interaction with various group of people. Now, this section say that the business has certain responsibility towards the government also and the community also. As a business enterprise, it has a responsibility towards government is to paying the taxes regularly to the government and honestly, so that proper revenue amount even government can also generate, by which they can able to work as a welfare of other people. And for the community, it is the responsibility of a business enterprises to accept the value of the society. It should also protect the natural environment. And how a business enterprise can protect the natural environment? Because business use lots of chemical things. Lots of gases are utilized into the industry for the purpose of production, which is very harmful for the society, right? Or which is harmful for the natural environment also. So a business need to be obligated towards the protection of society from this. And for this, how it can be done? This can be avoided by avoiding the bad, effluent, smoky chimneys, ugly buildings, dirty working conditions, and providing a proper conditions to the people, providing a good chimneys. Providing a good chimneys means they can set up a techno thing so that the pollution can be reduced, and they should have a proper interaction with the society or the group of people there, so that they will be able to make their good image. So these are the different responsibility of a business toward the different interest group of a society. So again I'm going to revise here what we have read in 6.5 topic here. Social responsibility towards different interest group. It means a business has social responsibility, but with whom? A business has social responsibility towards the different people who are living into the society, and these all people we are dividing into different interest group. These all are directly and indirectly related or linked with the business enterprises. Who are they? The first is responsibility towards shareholders or owner. It means the owner or the shareholders who has invested money into the business. A business की responsibility उनके लिए क्या हो जाएगी? To providing them a fair return on their investment of money. Next is responsibility towards the workers. Towards the worker, because they are the one who are actually working. So a business will have the responsibility toward them also, and for them they will have to providing them good opportunity for grow, providing them a fair wages, and a cooperation should be given from the management side, and they should be given complete democracy for their work. The third section, or the business has the third responsibility towards the consumer. And consumer, the business has responsibility is supplying right quality and quantity of goods and services to the consumer, but within a reasonable rates, right? They should not provide a adulterated product to the consumer. They should not provide a poor quality product to the consumer. They should be given a correct information to the customer. They should not be misleading and dishonest advertisement should be not be shown to the customer, and right information about product should be given. So these all are the responsibility of a business enterprise towards the consumer. Next is responsibility toward the government and community. Now, responsibility towards the government and community is a business is working inside a land, right? Which belong to some of the government. It means inside a country, in a society. So it has certain responsibility toward government also. Government is the one which used to work for the welfare of people, and for the welfare of the people they used to construct the roads, dams, and open lots of industries, education institution, medical facilities. And how government did it? For this, government need money, and government generate it revenue from the taxes, and these taxes are paid from we people only. So it become a responsibility of a business enterprises to pay it taxes regularly and honestly to the government. So this is the responsibility of business enterprises toward the government. For community, a business enterprise has a responsibility to accept the value of the society wherever it is or wherever and within it is working, to protect the natural environment of the society by avoiding the bad smoky chimneys and ugly building and dirty working condition inside its business, and to have a proper interaction or continued interaction with the people or group of people within the society. So these are the different interest group with whom the social responsibility of business are there. Thank you, children. In our next video, we will be talking about the business and environmental protection.